Kathrine Janness and her dog were violently attacked and killed in an Atlanta park 6 months ago. Police are now saying they're close to solving this murder, but I'm not buying it. And now we're learning some things that make me wonder if she was the victim of a hate crime. I mean, was it her lifestyle or her weight that was the focus of this assailant? Well, either way, folks, the penalty for this murder could be enhanced with federal hate crime statutes. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Profiling Evil on Court TV. I hope you'll take a moment as we begin and hit that like and subscribe button. Make sure you're ringing the bell there and get the notifications on all of our videos as they get released. Now, tonight I had the opportunity to talk with Vinnie Politan on Court TV about new information in the brutal murder of Katie Janness of Atlanta, Georgia. We were joined by retired Special Agent Bobby Chacon, and I hope you'll go over to Court TV and watch the entire segment. Now, Katie Janness's murder occurred in popular Piedmont Park, and this crime lasted long enough for the killer to stab her at least 50 times. Think about this for a moment, folks. I've personally viewed videos of killers stabbing someone to death. Now, it's been in court, but it's horribly violent and it takes time. It's extremely physical. And in the cases that I've watched where offenders caused a lot of wounds, actually they pause so they can catch their breath before finishing the act. Add to that disturbing image that this killer also took the life of Katie's dog. Listen as I speak with Vinnie Politan about the violence that Katie endured, and then answer what you think may have motivated this kind of an assault.
Let me bring in our special guest joining us tonight. In Salt Lake City, Utah, retired police commander, host appropriately tonight of the Profiling Evil podcast, Mike King is with us. And in Los Angeles, California, retired FBI Special Agent Bob Chacon. Mike, you talk about profiling evil. That's what we're doing in this case, aren't we? I mean, this was an attack like this. I can't imagine there was any provocation associated with this, but a very brutal murder.
From what we're hearing, this individual, it would appear that this was an opportunistic kind of an assault, but it is so personal, Vinny. The number of stab wounds alone is incredibly personal. The location of those, particularly about the face. But the thing that really is troubling me in this particular case is also the mutilation that goes on, where letters are actually carved into this victim, and then to go on and kill the dog. Either that dog was attacking, which is hopefully good news that there might be some DNA recovered from inside the mouth of that animal, but this is one horrendous case, and it takes a lot of effort to commit a homicide like this. How does someone go into a park and have this thing go on, and it had to have gone on for minutes, and then simply walk away without someone seeing this person covered with blood and running from the scene? I mean, the whole thing is just crazy from top to bottom. Well, now we're learning that the autopsy reports indicate the words "fat" was carved into her body by the killer. The placement of the letters is really odd, but one thing is sure. This predator focused on her face and upper torso. The autopsy would also reveal that at least 15 of those wounds were to her head and face. Let's listen to our discussion on the autopsy findings.
Bobby Chacon, Mike was mentioning the wounds here. I want to put up some information from the autopsy report that we received. Cause of death, sharp force injuries of the face, neck, and torso. An 8.5 by 6 inch area of intersecting incised wounds on the middle, and this is what Mike was talking about, middle and right side of the lower chest, upper abdomen, forms the letters F-A. On the left side of the lower chest, an incised injury composed of incised wounds forming the letter T. So someone is carving those letters into Katie's body. This is sick stuff, Bobby.
Janness was observed on surveillance cameras walking her dog shortly before the assault. A few other people were seen on the camera as well, but no suspects were identified in this area. Now imagine how bloody this assailant would have to be after such a violent assault, and yet nobody reports anything suspicious. Vinny asked specifically about the dog, and I had these comments to share.
Mike, you get back to the doggy Bowie, the dog Bowie, and you would think that you're walking in a park, you got a relatively big dog with you, that's kind of like, you feel a little more comfortable, right? A little bit more like, or I'm probably safe. If someone's going to attack, they're not going to attack someone with a dog. What does it tell you about this person that you're going to go after someone who is with a dog?
I think Bobby's right on. I mean, we might be dealing with some mental deficiencies that are incredibly intense, but I'd like to know more about that dog. Was the dog off leash, for instance, at that very moment when the attack happened? Otherwise, this predator is taking a huge amount of risk to go up and assault with the dog right there. Maybe the behavior of the dog was cowering and running away as he came up. It's difficult to know. But that dog plays a crucial part in this thing. And then the fact that he ends up having to kill the dog makes you really wonder, did the dog then interact with him and what was going on that would cause that additional kind of violence? But again, I keep going back, Vinny, to the point, this guy would have had to have spent a great deal of time committing this homicide. 50 stab wounds takes time. And without others coming up and saying, I heard screams or anything else, is really baffling.
Well, Katie was eventually located by her wife, who used a cell phone tracking app to locate her. She actually made the 911 call that initiated police response. Well, in a recent press conference, Atlanta police hinted they were close to solving this case and that they continue conducting forensic analysis while continuing the investigation. Now, perhaps this is an attempt by Atlanta officials to calm some Atlanteans' nerves as the police grapples with 53 other unsolved murders from 2021 alone. This is a plague across the United States, the number of violent crimes that have occurred during this coronavirus disease period. Well, you're not going to want to miss the rest of this interview where Katie's wife shares her thoughts and Bobby Chacon provides his insight. It's really compelling. So, what do you think about this case? Was it a hate crime or was it a crime of opportunity committed by a mentally ill or a drug induced person? I'm going to be looking for your answers down below, and I want to thank you in advance for taking time to submit your thoughts. And since we're talking cold cases, let's investigate the 25-year-old unsolved murder of a blossoming DJ named Barry Harris. He was murdered on a Baltimore, Maryland street in 1997. Now, Harris worked as a security officer during the day, and he DJ'd part-time at night, hoping to mature his relationship with 92Q and V103, the Frank Ski Team. Now, Harris had just completed a DJing gig, and he was walking on the sidewalk when he was shot and killed. Now, here's something interesting. There's only a few reports in the papers and online about this case. WMAR Baltimore reports that he was shot in the back, while the Baltimore Sun reports he was shot in the chest. This polar difference in reporting highlights how important it is for those of us in the true crime community to not jump to conclusions in these criminal cases, especially in this day and age when we see news organizations copying and pasting content that they found somewhere else. In fact, this glaring difference in something as significant as where the bullet wound was dramatizes why I often remain quiet on cases like this rather than theorize without sufficient facts. We need to be patient in our theorizing until official information is released from authorized government officials. If we don't, we really risk being a part of this phenomenon we're seeing where all kinds of false information is being presented out in the public and on social media. Now, let's listen to my comments on this unsolved murder and keep the case in mind. This is the kind of case where somebody probably knows something, and telling could make a difference. Now, if you're like me, you're going to be moved by Harris's daughter's comments and her emotions. I want to thank Autumn for her willingness to help us better understand who her father, Barry Harris, is. Let's watch.
Barry Harris was a dad. He was a DJ. He was also murdered. And you have no answer. What would it mean if you finally got that answer? It's many years later, 24 years later, but if you got that answer, if someone picked up the phone tonight, what would that mean for you, your children, your family?
Oh my God. I'm sorry. We've been waiting. We have been waiting for somebody to say something. Come next month, it'll be 25 years. And I know somebody knows something. It would mean so much. And not saying that we'll move on with our lives, but when somebody is taken away and that's a good person, you want to know why would somebody do that? You would really want to know why. I don't even know if somebody called tonight. I'm lost for words. I wouldn't even know what to say. I would be happy, but it's still, you can't bring them back.
Mike King, these cases are incredibly heartbreaking, and we're seeing it. And I want people to see it, because if someone has the information, I want them to understand what this means, Autumn. And I appreciate, again, you coming on here. It's so important that you do that. Mike, your thoughts tonight?
If someone knows something, it is definitely time to step up and do the right thing. Autumn is incredibly strong. Well, your dad has got to be just smiling watching you, Autumn. And I just think people over time get the courage to do something that they couldn't do maybe then. Unless this was some random act where one person only knows this and maybe has died themselves. This thing is solvable if people's hearts will be pricked right and step up and make the phone call. That's really what it boils down to. Investigators can go back and they can re-dig into this thing and look through all the old interviews and start from ground zero. But doing what you're doing now, Autumn, and what you're doing here on Court TV, Vinny, is the secret to these cold cases. Keeping this person alive, keeping their memory alive, reminding the world that this young man was alive and living and doing his job as a dad and trying to make a living for himself. And the family deserves justice.
Barry was doing everything right. He was doing everything right. Autumn, thank you again for joining us. We're going to stay.
Thanks for having me.
We'll stay on the story. You'll get calls from our producers again, and hopefully someday we'll be speaking on a brighter day, and we can talk about getting some answers here. Thank you so much, Autumn.
Thank you.
Mike King, Bobby Chacon, thank you both so much. Your experience, your compassion is really unparalleled. Thank you so much.
Well, remember, you can catch the entire interview on Court TV. I want to thank Vinnie Politan and the entire Court TV team for inviting me to comment on this and other criminal cases in the news. I hope, folks, that you'll take a moment, hit that like and subscribe button, ring the bell so that you get notifications on other videos like this one. And remember, you can find Profiling Evil on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. And if you like podcasts, make sure you're searching for Profiling Evil on your favorite podcast platform. And by all means, don't forget to check us out on the World Wide Web at profilingevil.com. Hey, and if you're looking for an easy way to support our efforts at Profiling Evil, consider joining one of our channel memberships. You know, your contribution can help us continue to roll out the kind of quality content you keep asking for. Thanks again, and we'll see you soon at the next crime scene.